Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and/or its affiliate and subordinate ministries and/or nonprofits. Some of this content may be adult in nature, so please use discretion while watching the kids. Woohoo! Good morning! Coming to you live from Acts Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. It's the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt and Jay. Steve Mickey Mac, I believe, is in recovery.
After his surgery.
Wow. I can give myself to you. It's nothing short of a miracle. It's the way you go. All right. I am yours forevermore. You have closed the door. Who I was before, and I see for the first time. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
And we're glad to have everybody on board with us today.
I'm going to start that song back up on the outro where we left off. Oh. I'd like people to hear more of it.
It's a good song. It's a good
is
song.
Beautiful.
Today, top 10 stories of the book. The book. I think am I a little loud? Well, I mean,
no, I don't think so.
I think we're about even.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're glad to have everybody with us today. It is a beautiful day in the Ozarks. It looks like the rain might subside for a little bit. And
top 10 stories of the book.
Of the book.
Now, I've read this book. It's a good book.
Everybody has read this book. Most everybody has read this book.
Yeah.
And if they haven't read it, they should see it in our lives.
Yeah. You know what we ought to do, too, is turn off auto text. The auto, what is that called? Talk to text. If it's on our broadcast,
yeah,
we need to turn it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a per. Oh, I don't know if the closed.
Do we have the article up?
Not yet. I will.
And we don't have anybody joining us yet.
Well, there's some person there.
Yeah, I think we've been censored, bro.
You know, it's a very good possibility. I wouldn't put it past the high ups.
Yeah.
Because so far, so good. The internet's working fine. We got a couple of theories that we're testing.
Yeah.
So,
yep. We love you all. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who have so far, I think there's one on there. It would be Larry Melton. Good morning, Larry.
Yes. All right. Good morning, Larry Melton. Larry Melton. I'm loving and sharing this video.
Now, I do like this top 10 story list, but I think for the sake of humanity, I think if it's 10, there's four. I think there's 4 stories that should be changed out.
Yeah.
For something more appropriate for humanity, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel that way. I think that's an epiphany I've recently had. You know?
Let me find that article. It's got to be here somewhere. Where are you at?
Top 10 stories of
the book.
We won't say.
Well, yeah, that's part of our testing of. Man, how did I get so many things open on my? All right. I got to remember.
I'm texting the article to you right now.
Oh, you want to merge us over?
Oh, yeah. Oops.
Good morning, everybody.
There you go. There's the link.
I don't even know if... they heard us.
It won't let me text it.
Let me work on
this. There we go.
Sorry about that, everybody.
There's the link.
There it is. We talked about Adam and Eve. We talked about Noah and the ark.
Dude.
We talked about the creation, Adam and Eve.
Sorry, I got sinus drainage and stuff from allergies. It's not fun.
Good morning, everybody. Look,
About,
people are coming in now.
we talked about Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. And the walls came tumbling
We did not
down.
actually talk about that.
Yeah, we read it.
We read just the title of it. We didn't tell people what that story is.
After Moses died.
Or did we?
Was led by Israel. Johnny Rooster said, we just realized that we're both related to Adam and Eve. Yes, we did talk about that yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're related.
Yeah. Hey, brother. Good morning.
Yes, Larry, I do hope today's show is better than yesterday's technology-wise.
Seems to be so far.
Yeah, and if it is, then we might have a an answer to our situation.
Yeah.
So after the great leader Moses died, Israel was led by a young man named Joshua. His first order of business was to take the nation into their new home, the Promised Land. The first challenge was to take over the city of Jericho. Now, this was a walled city that was heavily fortified. God told Joshua that they would be able to destroy the city, but they had to do it in God's way. His plan was certainly different than any other of the Israelites had heard before. They were to take the city not by ramming the walls to the ground, but by walking around the city and trusting God. So they walked around Jericho once a day for 6 days, and on the seventh day they walked out around the city 7 times, and after doing this they blew trumpets, shouted, and watched as the city walls came crashing down. Whoa! Can you imagine being a citizen of Jericho?
Yeah.
And there's another story that goes on about that situation. And that was, what was her name? Gomer? Was it Gomer? Who was
Now,
it?
at this time, also, now Israel had already established themselves as a nation of conquerors,
Her name Becky Green.
right?
Yeah.
Because they had made their way here to Jericho, and they had overcome already many.
Yeah. And they sent spies in there.
Yeah.
And that's where another amazing woman of the book
Yes.
established her place in the kingdom.
Yes. And who
but-
is named in the lineage.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, that's really cool. I mean, she could have turned in the 2 spies, but she didn't.
Yeah.
She hid them, and then
Because she knew their God was the one true God.
Yeah, and she hung the
Excuse me.
the rope
Sorry. Yeah.
out, the red rope out the window, and they knew to leave her and her family alone.
Yeah.
So-
God did.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good morning. Oh yeah, Janice says their show is always gold.
Thank you, Jenna.
Yeah, thank you, Janice. She's a top fan, of course.
Yeah. So what happened in Jericho? Now I'm anxious to know this story.
Well, the story about the woman.
Yeah. What does it say about Jericho? Was that it?
That was it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Because I mean, that's basically a what do you call that? That's that is a summarization of what happened. But they did it with faith.
Yes.
You know, I
And
mean,
obedience.
that had to look weird to the people of Jericho, the people who were protectors of Jericho, seeing this group of a rather large group of Jewish people, I might add.
An army,
Yes.
a nation.
A whole nation, yes. So there was probably 100,000 people.
I think it was over 400,000.
It was, oh yeah,
by this
400,000. Yeah. But I don't know why I was thinking 40,000.
That's a lot. That's
was-
the entire population of
so it was-
Springfield times 2.
It was probably double that because of all the, they were out in the wilderness for 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's a couple
It's massive.
generations. So there was probably,
A massive
probably
nation.
like 160,000 people out there probably.
Probably. Oh, more than
Marching around the city of Jericho. They did it once a day for 6 days. And on the 7th day, they did it, 7 times?
that. Yeah.
And then on the last time, they all blew trumpets.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how loud that would be?
A lot.
Everybody
That's
with a
loud.
trumpet, 100,000 trumpets or more.
Can you imagine the making of the trumpets?
Well, there was a lot of metalsmiths, like people who worked with metal and stuff. So they probably were able to make them.
Yeah, I mean, of course they could.
With
They
metal
have it.
they got from Egypt.
Yeah, from everywhere. Yeah. Well, in the other nations.
They probably had
conquered
trumpets
on the
made
way.
of gold. Trumpets
Who
made of
knows?
silver.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I can imagine that.
Massive.
But just imagine how many trumpets they had.
A lot.
And then all of a sudden blowing all those trumpets
Yeah.
at one time. Now, we heard what, a few thousand people with horns at the World Cup in Argentina or something like that. Everybody, for the whole entire game, there were people in the stands all blowing to those weird, you know what I'm talking about? Those weird horns that they blow.
Uh-huh.
And it was obnoxious.
Little goose horns.
Yeah, it was obnoxious. But I can imagine 100,000 horns being blown at their max, as loud as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And then the walls tumble down.
Yeah. What an amazing sight it must have been. And terrifying.
We're not asleep,
We
Kelly.
have a wonderful and terrible God.
She says, wake up,
He's
guys.
powerful and mighty.
Kelly Cosby, welcome to the show. She says, wake up, guys.
Good morning, Kelly.
Do we act like we're not awake?
I don't know.
I feel like, I'm a little bit on the stuffy side, but, other than that, it's allergies.
Maybe she's bored.
Maybe she is.
Well, it's another story.
Another story. David and Goliath.
Yeah.
We all have that David and Goliath point in our lives where we feel like we're battling a giant, but we can't do
Where
it.
we also are overlooked.
Yes.
Because David, at first, when he was called from the field as the shepherd, he was a shepherd. And the prophet of God, who was it, Nathan?
It was
Samuel?
It was.
No.
I think it was.
Well,
Yeah,
it probably says-
it was Samuel.
Was it? And
Yeah.
he called him from the field. He rejected all the other sons and said, don't you have another son? And he said, yes, he's a shepherd in the field. He's a boy. And so he was called in. And so imagine the feeling of being overlooked. You're not invited to the party.
Yeah, he was just there to. He was just there to bring cheese and stuff to his brothers that were in the army, and he heard them. He heard what Goliath was saying, and it made him
That was
mad.
after he came from the field. Yes, he was anointed king as a
Samuel.
boy. He was called in from the field.
After Saul messed up more
Yeah.
than once or twice.
Yeah. And so then he became king. He was anointed as king.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Then he came in to see the king, Saul.
They probably were made of lambs, so they probably were able to make those horns, quite a bit of them.
From lambs?
Rams.
Rams.
Ram
Oh,
horns.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
That makes
would
it
make
even.
sense.
I mean, they probably had way more than that then.
Yeah, because those are much more easily, they raised lambs.
Yeah.
Rams.
They raised rams, lambs, and
Ram
Jimmy
lambs.
Jams.
Jimmy Jams.
All right, so David and Goliath. This is out of 1 Samuel, verse 17. Oh, I accidentally put it down. Probably the most recognized story in the Bible. David, a young boy of around 12 to 17 years of age, fought and killed the Philistine champion Goliath.
Yes.
The nation of Israel was at war with the Philistines, and they were at a critical time in their fight. Neither army was advancing. However, the Philistines had a giant on their side that was intimidating the Hebrew army. David, through orders from his father, went to the battlefield to carry supplies to his brothers and the army. While he was there, he heard the giant denying the God of the Israelites. David boldly volunteered to fight the giant. And through God's help, a sling, and faith in his master, David slew Goliath, and Israel won the victory. So, and I love this. I love this this particular story in the book.
Yes.
The
Me too.
book. All caps. ... Quotation marks. So
yes.
now, what's funny is he said, "I'll take him on." And everyone's like, "You're just a little boy. You're just a wee little boy." I don't know why they're Irish or Scottish at this point, but they definitely are. Becky sent a clap. They definitely were looking at him. Well, he said, King Saul said, "Well, at least put on my armor before you go." And he tried it on, and it was too heavy.
It was too big, yeah.
And then he was like, "I don't need armor. I got God."
Yeah.
The Lord is my shield. And do you imagine being Goliath? Put yourself in the place of Goliath. And you've been challenging the Israelites for days and days and days and days and days, and nobody comes forth. And then all of a sudden, here comes this little boy.
Not even Saul, a man of stature, a man
even
with
Saul.
the best armor.
Yeah, and he was big and buff,
Yeah.
you know, because it said that
Stature.
he was, So he,
I'm going to ready the commercial.
Sorry.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, I was just reading what,
I just got a text or something.
DM views. I don't know.
I'm going to go paint with my son today.
That's awesome.
If I get to meet with the pastor and get everything I need to start this thing with him, to take on this baby of his that he, has offered me, then I will. If I get what I need and I have the time, I'm going to go by my son's house and I'm going to paint with him and I believe his girlfriend, Sophia.
Nice.
Wonderful young people, really.
Yeah.
I wish they'd be married.
Yeah.
I shouldn't
Goliath
say
didn't
that,
have
'cause
full.
that's-
That's right.
That's, and who knows? But
Yeah.
I would like it.
Yeah. I bet you they would too. But,
I would prefer it.
unfortunately, the way our nation is right now is they make,
There's an insecurity in relationships.
Yes.
that's,
well, and it also, like, I don't know, they put it out there as like a woman getting married. They make them feel like that's almost demeaning or belittling. Or what's the word I'm looking for?
as well. She's a part of her husband in a way that she is providing this in the same way.
Yeah, you may as well put your phone on silent because this is a group text from
Oh.
like 4 of us. Goliath didn't have the full armor of God. You're right. You're right. So, anyways, we got 35 seconds
For a
before
commercial.
we do our commercial. And then after that, we'll get back into more stories.
What were we
of
saying?
the
What were we
book.
talking about?
We were talking about Goliath and David, and like imagine coming out and seeing this kid.
Well, I mean, we somehow got on to women because there are great women of the Bible, and there's also a description of what
Well,
God
you started
calls
talking
a
about
virtuous
painting with
woman.
your son, and then brought up
Oh yeah,
Sophia.
Yeah.
Now we were talking about that, like the woman at Jericho that hid
yeah.
the 2 men, the spies. And
She was brave. She took action,
and
and she had faith.
she had faith, and if she didn't have faith before, she did definitely after, and she hung that velvet rope.
As
out.
brave, I would say, as David.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so,
Oh yeah.
because she knew she was vulnerable to both sides. She had enemies around her everywhere.
Yeah, Dennis said, do you have the bandwidth monitor software on your PC? We need to see how much we're using. Okay. No, I just been
I don't
going,
know how.
I've just been going to the speedtest.org or whatever.
Well, yeah, but I mean, can we test it? Can we see can it test what we're using right now without actually loading the system?
I don't know. Maybe there's an app or something.
Yeah, we
You
gotta
would
figure
have
that
to-
out.
You would have to go to our
And it is
browser.
Time for a commercial.
It is time for a commercial.
All right, we're going to go to commercial. We love you all. We'll be
We are
right
going to a
back.
commercial.
Please be patient
Womp, womp,
and
womp,
enjoy this
womp.
commercial. Johnny really put a lot into producing this.
Is this
And
a new one?
And there's a lot of people in this commercial who invested in us.
Yes. Who are you?
Yes, Johnny Rooster. I have a show on Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Axe Media Group known as AMG Broadcasting to promote small businesses and local entertainers and nonprofits.
Hey.
We're back.
Thank you.
Hey, I do what I can.
And here we are.
Yes, indeed. There we are.
So that's David and Goliath. Do we have more?
Yes, we do. Let's go back here. Boom. The fiery furnace.
Yes, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And let's not leave out Daniel,
Daniel.
who was not there for whatever reason.
Okay, so I don't know if they can hear that buzzing, that crackling. That's a static discharge of some sort. Can you guys hear that?
I'm sure they can.
All right.
We need to do something. Hear it go winding down.
Yeah. Our topic, we're trying different wordings of topics. Jim Whining is looking, he was talking about there's not a lot of reach on it just yet. Well, we're reaching some people. Becky said no problem. Yes, we will do the learning curve. Apparently, you're being interfered with. Glitchy. I'm not glitchy.
We have had no glitch here.
We have no glitch here. So,
I was told yesterday that we're being filled with error codes. So I think that somehow the internet or the platforms we're using have tagged us as a threat, like a virus.
yeah.
So the antivirus software will detect us.
So yeah, and it showed at the
and
time
pull it
it was flooded with error codes.
Yeah, and we had no error codes on our end.
We haven't seen any glitches on this end,
No, because we've got full
And I'm
stream.
watching-
It hasn't blinked yellow.
and I'm watching this on my internet here, on my cell phone internet. So I don't know.
So yes, you did what, Becky?
Meaning, yes, you did have glitches. I think.
Well, we apologize for any glitches. It's not on our end. Everything here is operating properly and working as it should.
All right. So today, now next is the fiery furnace. This is out of Daniel chapter 3. She said there was on our end.
We apologize.
I'm sorry.
Please tough it out and stay tuned.
Yeah,
or
and
you can watch it later.
And they stick with us and they jump right back on when we
Yeah.
come back on. So, man, we love you guys. All
Yeah.
of you are so amazing.
Yep.
So Daniel in the fiery furnace. Now, 3 young men named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were taken from their homes in Israel, and they were children. When they were children, they, along with Daniel, became important men in Babylon. The king of Babylon had created a huge status as an idol. Now, this was to be used for the people to worship the king. Now, he made a law that said that all who did not bow down and worship the idol would be thrown into the furnace of fire.
Yes.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had become governors in the kingdom, but they did not allow their position to keep them from obeying God. They refused to bow down to the idol. As a result, they were put into the fiery furnace. However, they did not burn up and die. In fact, the Bible says that they were talking, that they were walking around in the furnace, and there was a 4th person in the fire with them. The king said that it appeared to be the Son of God. They were brought out of the furnace, and the king repented of his pride and worshiped God, at least for a short time. So, everybody was to bow down at this point. And the reason we talk about Daniel in this is because he was a leader at this point. The antivirus codes are used directly against consistent Christian subjects. Most likely cause of the drop. Need to push sharing. Yeah.
Who said that?
Jim.
Yeah, I believe that's what they're doing.
I believe so too.
They've set up
'Cause you noticed,
our terminology and the way we speak of God as a. They set it up to detect it as a virus.
So you notice we didn't put, we changed the Bible to the book.
Yeah.
The book,
Yeah.
capitalized.
Yeah. Because capitalism wants book sales.
Yeah. And so
So people
that,
talk about the book, and they want people to talk about books because they sell books that way.
yeah.
So they don't want to, they can't do anything that way. But they do, I mean, there's got to be, and that's what I'm saying about this text thing, talk to text that's always translating what we've got here.
I don't think
that
there's not a
also-
way to shut that off.
I know.
They're
And I
auto-generated.
think that's a way they also, so that puts it into text, which puts it into a code where they can
Which they
detect.
can monitor it.
Yeah.
Clever.
Well, they don't even
clever.
have to monitor it. Software will automatically tag it.
Jim said, Jason, you are right on.
We need to move to platforms that won't do that.
We're working on that. We're working on a platform that we can share to Facebook
That will take them away from it.
that will take them away. Well, they can watch it probably from Facebook's browser.
I really think we need a movement where people will switch to one that is better suited to them.
Yeah,
And the only problem is that without the censorship of some kinds, I think there needs to be a Christian-based one that is just literally Christian-based. And but think about that. The movement that is required to allow those spaces to be molested and allow them to censor in their own way. I mean, so if the other places are getting away with it, why can't we, right? Can't we create a Christian network that people can join that is censored, that the things that we consider to be immoral won't be on there?
Did that woman go on to the well? Oh, Larry, did that woman go on to the well? Go to the well?
Oh, yeah,
I see.
sorry for distracting from the actual...
Larry keeping us on point, yet being distracting all at the same time. We love you, Larry.
What happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? There was
So they were, there was a fire built that was 7 times hotter than normal. It was so hot, in fact, the people that threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fire died from the heat
Wow.
as they were throwing them in there. And when they came out,
They
didn't even smell like smoke.
No.
And that was a witness of God's amazingness. And then
power.
the thing that we point out is Daniel was a high up. He was higher than Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yes.
And
At this same time.
At this same time. Now, whether he was, there's.
I don't know chronologically which came first, the lion's den or the fiery furnace, though.
Well, no, it would have to be.
I believe the furnace came first.
Yeah, the furnace did come first.
And we have speculated about...
Was Daniel there?
And why...
If he was there...
Was he not in the furnace?
Yes. If he was there, he was not in the furnace, so that must have meant that he bowed down. And I theorized that happening with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego increased Daniel's faith, and Daniel probably felt so convicted, if he was there.
Yeah.
Felt so convicted that he vowed to God never to bow down again, or never to, adhere to man more than God.
Yes.
So the next time it happened, I could see where that would give him that much more faith to be able to know. Sorry, am I talking too much?
No.
But I love Daniel. The book of Daniel is amazing because...
Was he a prophet? No. He interpreted dreams.
He was... yes, he interpreted dreams, but I don't think you would consider him a prophet.
Amazing stories, though.
But he was definitely...
they were unscathed, and the Bible doesn't really tell us a ton about the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Right.
We don't get to know the characters that they were, except that their character in that they said, even if we do die...
Next up is Daniel in the lion's den, so we may as well just jump right on into it.
Yeah.
Because Daniel, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they all knew each other. He was taken from his home whenever he was young, too, along with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he grew up in Babylon, and he lived through the rise and fall of several kings. Daniel maintained a powerful position through the different kingdoms. When he was an old man, a group of powerful men wanted to get him out of their way so that they could have his position. Now, he was like second in position.
I love the depth of these stories, though.
Yeah, there were 3. What do they call those? There were 3 basically principals, 3 high up above all the other governors of Babylon, right?
Yeah.
And there was a king that had Persian and Median descent. Like he ruled. He was a Persian and Median king.
Yeah.
So these guys, these older men, that they tried finding something to convict Daniel of to get him out of that position. Well, he was so devout to God, and he was so he had such.
It's called espionage.
Yes, it's espionage. But he had, yeah, exactly.
They tried to set him up.
To fail so that they could get him out of the way.
Yeah.
But his moral character and his faith in God was so strong, in fact, that they couldn't find anything.
I see these stories as being much deeper than this, too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that's why they're timeless. Listen, we have to withstand the culture. The culture itself will come against us. I don't think that the nameless and faceless people who convinced the king to write this into law are important. You know what I mean? They're important to understand not as individuals, but as a culture. This is a thing that comes against us. And these people, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel, the lady whose rope went out the window, all of these people.
They went against the culture.
They went against the culture at great threat, at the threat of terror,
And death.
pain,
Torture.
and death. Right?
Yeah, 'cause
And
it
think
was-
of the terror of being thrown into a lion's den.
Think of the terror of being thrown into a furnace.
Think of a terror being set your home in a wall with the enemy inside and out. Right? And with nobody to trust except God himself. And these people stood against it. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, there's something about their story that's different than most of the stories that I cherish it. They said, even if God allows us to die, we will not bow to this.
Right.
You
Because-
throw us in that furnace and we burn to a crisp.
Pain of that death is momentary, comparatively speaking.
Yes. And so I think that this story has an underlying story that is relevant right now. More
Yeah,
relevant.
Absolutely.
And actually, it was always been relevant, I think.
Yeah.
Even as a child, when I heard these stories, I did translate them in my
Because we all have that
character
Daniel, that
as-
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego moment.
yes, that
That
when
Daniel
something's
and the lion's
wrong,
den
we
moment.
need to stand against it.
I've
There
read-
is God's law that is higher, and we should stand against anything that comes against it.
You should read the book DC Talk and the Book of Martyrs.
Hmm.
There's a series of them, and they are amazing. I need to get some of those.
And so you've read it?
Yes, and it's a lot of martyr stories. That's what obviously it is, where people who would rather face death than to face denying God. You
Yeah.
know? Like a story of a Russian soldier that was told by a superior, if you don't denounce God, we're going to put you in overnight watch in your summer uniform in the middle of winter in Russia.
Yeah, Siberia.
And he goes, okay.
Yeah.
And he stood out there. They kept coming and checking on him and checking on him and checking on him. He was like, I don't know what happened. I just felt fine.
Yeah.
You know, God was protecting me.
But he was willing to die and knew
Yes.
that was probably the cost.
Yes.
These people all knew the cost for what they were doing was death. The pain was terrifying. I mean, they were terrified. You had to be terrified, except for your faith in God that would calm you, give you peace that passes understanding.
Ah, yes, that's right. Daniel was attacked by culture. They couldn't find anything wrong with what he was doing, so they made what he was doing in his prayer time against the law. Sounds like he will say now, he says. We don't want to all of a
It
sudden
does.
flooded with...
It always has, though.
yeah.
Think about the wars of the past. What did they do? They made the culture something that was a threat to everyone unless they conceded to it.
Yeah, so let me finish reading this here real quick for those who have not read the book
Yeah,
of
we
Daniel.
got 4 minutes. 3.5.
To pass the law, okay, so they couldn't find anything wrong. So they convinced the king, who happened to like Daniel greatly, to pass a law that those who were caught worshiping anyone or anything other than the king would be thrown into the den of lions. These men knew that Daniel prayed publicly several times a day, and the king was flattered that the king was flattered that the wicked men thought highly
they
enough of him
deceived
to
him.
make him the object of worship.
They seduced him.
Yes, so he signed
his
the
own-
law, not thinking about his friend Daniel and his habit of daily prayer. Because when he signs it into the law according to the Medes and the Persians, it is irrevocable,
They seduced him with pride.
even by the king.
They seduced him with pride and flattery.
So, of course, Daniel was caught praying. The law said he must be thrown in with the lion's den. And, okay, so the king's hands are
But
tied.
now even the king can't defy
The
the
king
law.
not-
There was actually a higher law
The king was
that
pretty mad.
the king was bound to.
Because Daniel was his friend. He loved Daniel. So, oh yeah, Jesus freaks. That's right.
And like a good man, Daniel wasn't one that needed to be supervised.
Right.
So the king wasn't aware of the threat to Daniel. Daniel was off doing what he was supposed to do, and the king
doing it
didn't
well.
have to get reported because he never got reports like, "Hey, something's wrong here. We need this." The guy Daniel's not
Daniel
doing
would be
his
the
job.
guy that he sent to investigate something.
Right, and to fix
Because
it.
he trusted him.
Yeah,
So he was caught praying, obviously, and the law said he must be thrown in with the lions.
in front of his window.
Yeah.
with the curtains drawn back.
Yep.
So
He didn't do it in private.
not hide.
Openly proclaimed
He was
it.
bold and brave.
So Daniel
Courage.
trusted God, and God protected him. The next day, to the king's relief. Now, I would suggest that you go and read this book, this story, because it's amazing. The king did not sleep at all because he was worried about Daniel. Sorry. Daniel was still alive, and the king subsequently had the men who thought up the law also thrown into the lion's den. The Bible says that they were eaten by the lions before they could even hit the ground of the pit. So the lions were starving. The lions were starving. They didn't eat all night like they were supposed to. And it doesn't mention in this article here, but it talks about the men who did this and their entire families.
Yeah.
Their entire families. So, anyways,
We're not time yet. I just wanted to get more of this song in because I love it. So I
it
got
is-
it.
it is a fun song.
Yeah. I don't think you can sing it the way you used to.
oh yeah, you're just. Oh, I see that look.
I got the music from online that we have on YouTube, and I played it for Barney while he played his drums the other day.
Yeah.
It was just me and Barney and the music offline.
Really?
We need to get the rest of your songs on there.
Alrighty, we can do that.
Yeah. Well, we need to figure it out. I need to get some software
Yeah.
that will actually keep the tracks separate.
Well, it's time for us to get out of here, folks. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on the morning drive today. We'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. Be sure and tune in next for The Learning Curve. Followed by, well, I'm not sure if it's followed by Rita Sanders or not. So we will see. Until then, my friends, God bless you and keep you. We love you. My name is Matt.
My name is Jay.
This has been
The Morning Drive.